Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and today the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments officially begin on Monday Night Raw. And Raw begins in a couple hours from now at 2 p.m. because they're still in Italy. So I have to get this video up and edited before 2 p.m. today. So I'm going to give you my full predictions round by round and what I think will be the SummerSlam World Title matches. So let's start with the King of the Ring, as these are fatal four-way matches, as we have the left side of the bracket here, Penta, Oba Femi, Solo Sikoa, and Carmelo Hayes, with the winner taking on Dominic Mysterio, Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, or Damian Priest. Then we flip it to the other side of the bracket here. Seth Rollins, Javon Evans, Tala Tonga, and Ricky Saints. And the winner of that fatal four-way will face either Jey Uso, LA Knight, Royce Keys, and apparently Finn Balor, who is now on SmackDown. Because if you notice by this graphic, they are color-coded by which brand the superstar is on. And Finn Balor is lit up in blue. So when did Finn Balor get traded to SmackDown? I mean, I don't know. But maybe ChatGPT thought that Finn Balor was on SmackDown. I don't know. A very interesting matchup here with Penta, Oba Femi, Solo Sikoa, Carmelo Hayes. I think it is really easy to say Oba Femi because after Clash in Italy, Brock Lesnar beat Oba Femi 1+1. They are even now. And I gotta wonder when that third match will take place. But also now that the fact that Oba did not win means that Brock really doesn't have a reason to get involved and cost Oba Femi the King of the Ring tournament. So could the third match between these two take place after SummerSlam when Oba Femi is the new World Heavyweight Champion? That is something to think about here. So Oba Femi, I think, will win this match. Then who he will face is either Dominic Mysterio, Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, or Damian Priest. Honestly, I mean, you're going to think that I'm a little bit hypocritical when I talk about Seth Rollins here, but I think Seth and Braun will likely cancel each other out. So I am going to go Trick Williams wins this fatal four-way, and I think the WWE will play off the history between Oba and Trick in the semifinals, as Oba and Trick Williams will face off in the semifinals. And I do have Oba Femi winning to move on to the finals on that side of the bracket. Now, as we do move to the right side of the bracket here, Seth Rollins, Javon Evans, Tala Tonga, Ricky Saints. I have Seth Rollins moving on. And it's not... Now, I do think that Breaker won't make it past the first round because of Seth, but I do think it's just one of those things where I think the more interesting, when I look at the finals, the more interesting matchup is the guys that could face Roman Reigns. Because SmackDown, when I look at who's on the SmackDown side of things, there's not really anyone that's interesting that creates a interesting matchup for Cody Rhodes. So, to me, the King of the Ring winner, I feel like, will be from Monday Night Raw. And we'll get to the Queen of the Ring tournament here in a minute, where I feel like that will be from the SmackDown brand. So, I think Seth Rollins will move on in the tournament. He will win his fatal four-way. And I think LA Knight will advance in his fatal four-way. We did see Seth Rollins and LA Knight have that little confrontation on TV where, LA Knight told Seth about history and not wanting to help out with the vision, stuff like that. So I think the WWE could play off of that in the semifinals. with LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. And I do have Seth Rollins moving on to the finals against Oba Femi. And I think this creates the most interesting matchup for the finals for the King of the Ring, because you have this young up and comer in Oba Femi versus Seth Rollins, who is Roman Reigns' arch nemesis and the guy who wants to get back to the world title. And like I said, he hates Roman Reigns' guts. So I think from a final standpoint at Night of Champions, this creates the most interesting matchup, as either man could go on to face Roman Reigns in this scenario. But ultimately, I think it's going to be Oba Femi moving on to SummerSlam. He will beat Roman Reigns beat Seth Rollins at Night of Champions, and then go on to face and most likely beat Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. But before we get to the Queen of the Ring tournament, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button, as I do produce weekly wrestling content here on this channel. So, Queen of the Ring. Let's look at that bracket here. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room with this bracket. Liv Morgan, your World Heavyweight Champion, is in the tournament. What in the chat GPT is Liv Morgan doing in this tournament? The point of this tournament is to crown a #1 contender for SummerSlam. So why is your world champion in this tournament? Now, the WWE did try to explain this on the post show. Liv Morgan, she wants it all, blah blah blah. Then Liv Morgan addressed this on Twitter when a fan asked this question, and I'll put this tweet up here. I mean, again, it's kind of crazy and weird booking that A, Liv Morgan doesn't have no challengers at the moment, and 2, the best thing you can do with her is put her in the Queen of the Ring tournament. That doesn't make any sense. They've got to fix the booking with the women's division on Raw. I'm sorry. But you have a plethora of women, a deep, talented roster of women on the Raw side, and Liv Morgan can't get a feud with someone? Like, it's strange to me that the best thing they can come up with is putting her in the tournament. It's crazy. But I don't even think she wins this match, because I think it's going to be, when you look at this fatal 4-way, Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, and Chelsea Green, with the winner of that fatal 4-way taking on Sol Ruka, who is your new Women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria, Charlotte Flair, and Jade Cargill. Then on the right side of the bracket, we have Roxanne Perez, IYO SKY, Julia, who should have never been left off the Clash in Italy card, and Lash Legend, with the winner of that fatal 4-way taking on Bayley, Raquel Rodriguez, JC Jane, or Kiana James. So, as I look at this bracket here for the Queen of the Ring, I think only a few stand out from a perspective of who could face a world champion at SummerSlam. So, let's start off with the left side of the bracket here. And I know some people will say, oh, they're going to do Alexa versus Charlotte. And I thought about that as a possibility here. But I'm going to go with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch to win this fatal 4-way, because I think Jade or maybe B-Fab Minchin will get involved, cost Alexa Bliss, further in the feud with Charlotte and Jade Rhea on SmackDown. And I think because of that, the most interesting semifinal matchup here, similar to the men's side where I have Oba Femi versus Trick Williams, where you play off of the NXT Big 3 storyline with Oba, Trick, and Javon Evans. you have a semifinals of Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. You play off the four horsewomen history. I think that gives us a great semifinals match. We flip to the other side of the bracket here. I think it's going to be IYO SKY winning her fatal four-way. And then Raquel Rodriguez will win her fatal four-way, setting up IYO SKY versus Raquel Rodriguez in the semifinals. And then I have Charlotte Flair defeating Becky Lynch to move on to the finals, with IYO SKY defeating Raquel Rodriguez, setting up the Queen of the Ring finals to be Charlotte Flair versus IYO SKY. And we know the relationship with Charlotte and Rhea and Alexa, and I think they could play off of this very well because Rhea and IYO are best friends, and Charlotte kind of becoming best friends with Rhea. I think they can play that off a little bit, maybe turn Charlotte heel, and have Charlotte go heel against IYO SKY. But ultimately, I think it's going to be Charlotte Flair who wins over IYO SKY, and Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley will be your women's championship match at SummerSlam. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my official King and Queen of the Ring predictions for 2026. Oba Femi for the men, he will challenge Roman Reigns. Charlotte Flair will turn heel against IYO SKY in the finals to set up a match with Rhea Ripley for SummerSlam. Let me know in the comments below, who do you want to see win King and Queen of the Ring? And as always, I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.